The dead had risen near Devonshire, and we heroes answered the call of Sir Arch-Euron. His lovely lady, Catherine, had been taken, and he feared the worse. While he and his armies battled the horde, we stole away to where Lady Catherine might have been held. It was the graveyard near Devonshire. We battled the walking dead, only to be confronted by a terrible creature of bones riding on the shoulders of the dead. What we spied was horrific. Lady Catherine was one of the bearers of this insidious creature. Knowing we were no match, without some careful planning we fled. We knew we could not return without freeing Catherine, so we stalked the creature to its lair, which hid behind a waterfall. We stole inside, hoping to catch the walking dead and their boss unaware and free Catherine from the creature's clutches.
Hey everybody, it's Doug here, Doug Mr. Guy on Board Game Geek, bringing you a new playthrough. And I just wrapped up the Ghostbusters playthrough that I did, and put out at the end of that I asked people for a bunch of input on which game to play next. I laid out a whole number of games, slew of them, Cthulhu Wars and Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game, and the Runebound 3rd edition, and I mentioned Agents of Smersh and Albion's Legacy and blah blah blah, a whole bunch of stuff. And everybody said no, Myth 2.0, because I got my Myth 2.0 rules book. So a lot of votes for that, so that's what we're doing. That's the new playthrough. I'm going to continue with the mission that I had started a long time ago and said that I wouldn't continue it until I got the 2.0 stuff in the mail, and I wasn't going to go print it all out because it replaced almost all the cards for the main characters that you play, etc., etc. But we're going to do that, and I happen to have that rule book right here, as you can see, Game Rules 2.0. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't change that much. Conceptually, the rules aren't changing. They're just evolved and more clear, and the cards have been made more clear. But the concepts and the precepts of the game have really not changed at all, which is interesting. Now, there are some changes, and man, I hope, I got to tell you, and I always say this when I go to play a game like Myth, I'm going to make some boo-boos. I promise you that. This is a heavy thought process game. It's got a lot going on. I can promise you, especially trying to remember the 5 versions of the rules I had before and not combine them with the Myth 2.0 rules. In other words, try and clear my mind of the previous rules and just focus on this. We'll see how it goes, and I'm sure all of you will have plenty of input. Anyway, if you heard the opening, and I'm not going to do that opening every time, but I wanted to give you some background on the first mission that we did, so we're going to talk about that right now. Okay, so you can see there, we have a big baddie right there that we had encountered on our first mission. We were playing a story quest from this exclusive Kickstarter book of story quests. And while some of them are interesting, they're not very clear sometimes, and sometimes poorly written. I'll give you an example. The concepts behind it are great. Just I'll give you an example of that right here. For instance, it says, "Rarely have you felt fear." That's not a proper sentence, but that's okay. I get the meaning. Rarely have you felt fear. Okay, so, but I want to talk about the last one. So in the last one, we encountered the Bones boss in the mausoleum of the graveyard while looking for the, clearing out the undead and looking for the wife of Sir Archeron, who sent us there. And we found his wife. She was actually holding up the palanquin of the bad guy. She's actually one of these skellies holding it up, except she's not a skeleton. And we fled because we didn't know what we'd have to do with this big bad guy. We weren't prepared to battle him, so we fled the scene. And now we have tracked the enemy to a lair, and we're going to go into that lair and try and defeat Bones, the boss, and recover Lady Catherine. So again, we already know what happened in the last one. We fled the scene and we saw what happened, but here's the new one. It says, "Rarely have you felt fear as you did when you fled from the undead giant but you know, before you return to Archeron, you must find a way to free Lady Catherine, if you can. You must battle with the monster of bones at least long enough to liberate the lady lost to darkness. And that's what we're going to be doing in this session. And I'm playing the characters that we had before, and I'm going to talk about them briefly. I may have to take the camera off the stand to do that properly. I don't know, we'll see. But I want to talk about what they had for upgrades and everything. I'm not going over the rules. We're going to see the 2.0 rules as they play out, which is mainly going to be in the changes to the verbiage and layout of cards. And again, they didn't change particularly. They just are more clear. So a lot of this is the same. And Myth's a really cool game. It's hard for some people to get their head around because it is so dramatically different in how it plays out, like the lack of turn structure, rather, and how the darkness comes into effect and how the monsters react and spawn and all that good stuff. It's just very different. So let's talk about our heroes. We're going to start first with the soldier. Okay, so here's the soldier. Now, normally, you know, remember, these were characters that have been through a couple of adventures now. So instead of his fireplace poker, and this is the revised version of it right here, so you can see that it really doesn't do anything different than the first one. It's just, again, it has things a little more clearly done. He's got a potion and some coins, which I could turn into tokens, but I'll just leave alone for now. And he's got a couple serendipity tokens, or rather she does, because I took the version of the soldier that is this one here, the female figure. I think she's cool looking. In fact, we have 3 females and 1 male. The only male is going to be the acolyte, the priest. Could have done an all-female group, I guess. But the soldier, I'm keeping the integrity of the last session. This is who I played before. The soldier does have 2 upgraded items. One is this longsword. As you can see, it's better, way better than the fireplace poker with the 2d10 and the bonus fate die. Plus, if you roll this, you get to you get -1 AP after the attack, and that's pretty good. And then you get the helm. The helm, you can see this is the change here. One of the biggest changes, they put the bonus to your vitality in a little dot there. And then, of course, you may reroll 1 enemy fate dice once during attack. That means it makes it a little harder to target you. So the soldier, who normally has a 7, has a 9 vitality due to the adventurer's gear, which gives him 1, and then the helmet, or gives her 1 rather. That's the soldier, and we're going to go over the cards that I initially drew, and we'll show those off too. So we're not going to get into the details. You'll see them in play, but we have this yoke is heavy, blade dance, sprint, and battle war. Not a very good starting hand necessarily. Now the other thing is they're 0 threat because we're just starting the adventure, and they're on the board now. I am also, something I'm going to do differently with this one because it's just too difficult, is I'm not going to play where I'm putting the cards up on the screen all the time. There's just too many cards. We're constantly cycling cards in this game. But let's go on to the Acolyte now and talk about. Now, I will show the cards on the screen. I'll hold them, but I'm not going to take the pictures and put them all up like I had before. Here's the Acolyte, and this is one of the cards that I want to show you that is different in the new card set. Is that instead of this being in the book, they put it on a card and describes the specialties. And I didn't talk about the rage of the soldier. Like I said, I'm not going over the rules, but this card describes how this character is different from the other characters and how they utilize faith and relics. It's pretty cool. Again, the Acolyte only has 1 upgrade item at this point, and that is leather armor, which grants +2 vitality. So as you can see, vitality is normally 6, so it's going to be 8, which is at now. And his adventure gear is in his backpack. Anyway, let's look at the cards that we got for initial hand. He did a lot better. He's got Last Rites, Prey, Sprint, and Last Rites. Last Rites are damage cards. Since we're going to have some enemies right in front of us right away, that's not a bad thing. Now, let's move on to the Apprentice. And once again, the Apprentice has this. It shows the ongoing and the focus, which are the 2 special things the Apprentice does. The Apprentice does have a couple of items that she had picked up during her adventures. This is the Apprentice here. She's pretty cool looking. Mage. Boom. And boom. This is one of the cards. So it's the robes. Gives +1 vitality, but also +1 target number +1 target number versus melee attacks. That means it's harder to hit her. Their target number's higher. Okay, and then we have this one, the Ring of Kings, it's attack +1 fate die on an attack. But each time you pick up treasure, you draw 2 treasure tokens and choose one to resolve. I originally thought that would be best in the hands of the brigand, but that's okay. The brigand's full of stuff, so we couldn't do that. And I'll show you that in a moment. But let's take a quick peek at the starting hand of our apprentice. It's Arcane Lance, which is good. Nice little attack. Winter's Bite. This is one of my least favorite cards in the game. And again, these are all the upgraded cards, so they're just more clear how they read. Maybe this plays better now that I'll understand it better. And then Meditate. So let's read this one actually. It says attack, Earth Focus. Attack one target within range. That attack also affects one additional target adjacent to the initial target. Any captains are prone. So the reason they say specify captains because the things under that only have 1 hit. So if they take a point of damage, they're dead anyway, or they take any hits. And then you can see it kind of shows you how the targeting is on this. Anyway, that's clear. That's way more clear than it used to be, if I recall. For some reason, I recall that card being convoluted. And I've already trashed all the old cards, so I don't know. That's the Apprentice. And last but not least, we have the Brigand. Now, in the Brigand, I'm using the female dual-wielding dagger Brigand instead of the rat guy. That's her right there. Okay. And she has lots of upgraded items. So she has the dagger, which basically is better. I think it gets 2 fate dice as opposed to the rusty knife she used to have. And you don't lose shadows if you roll your fate symbol. Pretty good. The buckler just basically has a bonus. 1 minion adjacent to you is prone. That's if you succeed. Now, that may not do damage, so that could be any minion, even if it's not one. But it does do a extra 2d10 on an attack if you use that as your weapon. And then, now that's not a very good item for the Brigand. We'll probably trade that off if we get a better one, but it does increase their target number, their defense 1 by 1. That's good. And then this is the leather armor. It gives +2 vitality, so that's always good. And then in the last slot, in the ring slot, or artifact slot, we have, see, this has the right symbol. We have the mythical robes, which give a +1 fate dice on attack and 1 movement point. Movement point for the Brigand is pretty important. Yeah. So let's talk about the initial setup of the board, of how we're going to play. Now remember that in this scenario, we are playing against the undead. So the first thing I want to show you is that we're using this deck for the darkness. It's the Bones deck. And so unlike where you're typically used to the Thousand Eyes, whatever, it's going to be different for this one as a result. This board actually has 4 treasure markers on it. This is a 4 by 12. And then these are our heroes. There's a layer right here according to the scenario, and this is the hunting pack that is around the layer. I figured it'd give us enough to start getting some treasure bonuses. Actually, this one cannot be here, so I guess it will be here. There's a red outline there. And then that's the board. You can see that we have to get into this river canyon area, which drops down to a layer, and the layer is on one of the big boards. Now the one thing that we have to do here still is draw a trap, and I thought I'd save that to share with you as we go. There is going to be a trap in this location, guaranteed. It is a must for the scenario as well as the board. So, and then what else do we have that's noteworthy on this? I guess nothing else for now. Again, I'm not going over the rules, so I'm not going to tell you how you set this up. We're just going to do that. Now, of course, we're not on that board yet, so we haven't set up what that board tells us to do, the one with the river, the waterfall at the end here at this one. So anyway, that is our setup. Now we do have to draw a trap, and like I said, I thought I'd do that with you, so let's do that. So here be the new trap cards. Now, I'm going to give them a quick shuffle, and we're going to draw one of these because we don't have a choice. And we're going to have to live with the trap. I hope it's nothing too terrible. These things can be really, really unpleasantly nasty. So let's hope we get something reasonable. I'm afraid. Deathly afraid. Let's see what we get. Okay, boom. Consuming darkness. Okay. Place the dark skull token. I have to go get that. At least 5 squares away from the heroes. To disarm, a hero must be adjacent to the dark skull token to disarm this trap, performing a 1 non-combat action at TN of 9. Bah. Activation. Each refresh phase, the Dark Skull token affects all heroes within 5 squares. So we need to not be within 5 squares and then run up and deactivate it. Each affected hero raises the AP on the darkness meter by 1. This causes the darkness cycle to resolve immediately. If this causes a darkness cycle, resolve it immediately. And this is the setup. So there's where we're starting. There's the range 5. So I need to get, that's not the worst, man. There are way more worse things in there. So let me go find that skull token. Okay, so I found our skull token. So being that this is the lead right here, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll just place it right there. Now we have to stay, now once we move 1 in there, we're going to be in range. So we got to plot that out very, very carefully and hope that our rogue, who's right here, is able to get up there and disarm it quickly. We might drop some spells on there and not move at these guys, try and kill them off, and then have the rogue rush past. So the rogue's probably going to go very, very last in this turn, and hopefully we don't drive up the darkness too much. Anyway, that is our setup for this session. Now, there's lots of things I can show you about how I've set up my play area and everything. I think it'd be completely different. I am using my Hold It card holders, which look like this. And by the way, this is the big board that we'll have the final battle on with the boss when we get there. And you notice I have my cards cut out here. These, I got these face up so I know which ones. If I need to do it, I'll just flip them around, give them a quick shuffle, and draw some cards if we get treasure cards. There were the trap cards. This is the other stage of the bones. We're only going to deal with stage 1 of the bones. This is the merchants. You know, I have 2 serendipity, so if we don't get a merchant, I will probably call the one guy, this Talic 3 Dunes, to the table. You know, it's just these cards didn't change in these 2.0 edition. So anyway, that is our setup. And I even thought, I had a consideration, because I really like the Archer, and I was considering swapping them out. But these are the characters I played with before, and like this, they have all these upgrades, these enhancements, so I didn't want to change that. Anyway, guys, I think the next thing we're going to do is take a turn. What do you think of them apples? I may not do a whole turn. That could turn into a rather long video. We've already had some discussion on here that's making this a little longer. But I do want to get you started and get into the action. So let me, I'm just going to continue to brush up on these rules real quick, and then we're going to get into a turn. Okay, I think we're going to start our session by taking an action with our lovely apprentice here. She is going to use 1 movement point this turn. Now, again, I'm not going to go over each rule with you, but I will kind of explain as I go along. And we're going to have her start by moving here to this area here where she is next to the warrior. And the reason she moved up there is she wants to improve the range of her attack. Now, she is going to do something fairly simple, I think. I'm looking at her attacks. Yeah, she can do, I think she's, well, you know, we could get the 2 front guys. No, she's not going to do that. She is going to attack with an arcane lance, and this is it right here. So you can see, let me see, I think you can see that clearly in the camera. It says arcane attack focus, attack 1 target within range. So how we do that is we're going to place that down in the first slot of her action slot, like so. So she has taken an action, she is doing that blast. Now she did a cautious movement, so if she had done no movement, it would have reduced the target number of the enemy, which are called shamblers. They're basic skeletons. This one happens to be a ranged one, and so she did this. So she's able to do that and still do an arcane blast, but she loses the advantage. So basically, she's going to use her twig for her attack, which gives her a attack of plus 1d10, plus her basic, which is 1d10. I'm going to take the dice. I had all the dice in the bowl. I need to remove them so we can start to create a dice pool. And this is what happens whenever you do an attack. You're going to create a dice pool. So she's going to get 1 fate die, and you'll see how that works, and 1d10 for her basic stat. And then she's going to get a second d10. We're trying to get higher than the target number of the critter we're after. So she's doing that. She's got 2d10 now, and that has to do with her twig right there. And then we also have the ring, which is adding a fate die. So she's going to have 2d10 and 2 fate die to attack that critter with. If she's in taking the action, boom, right here, you can see that we're going to increase her threat level by 1. Oh, almost made my first mistake. That was, of course, and I did know this. This is an action requiring an action point. Okay, so this is going to be her only action. Now she can take as many reactions as she wants, but she can't do another action, so she can't do this one as well. However, she could meditate. The reactions, the one with this symbol on it, can only be done during a darkness phase. They're kind of a counterattack against the enemy. But let's go to the dice bowl. We're going to roll her action. So let's roll the dice. Boom. And of course, if she strikes, then her threat level will increase. Now, she is fighting against shamblers, and I'm so used to putting things up on screen. I gotta get the card out for you. You can see that it has a target number 4 or better, and a health of 1. So if she hits it, it's going to die. Now, if there was a Solus in play, we got to remember these things. If there's a Solus in play, and we roll that on the Monster Fate die, they get after damage is dealt, to get resurrected. That's not good, but anyway, it's okay. We're going to attack this critter here. Boom, let's see what we get. Well, I don't think that helped her in regards to, that's the symbol for the acolyte, the candle, so it doesn't help her at all. But she did hit twice, which doesn't matter much. So the TN, the only thing this would have done for her is reduce her threat on the attack for rolling the symbol. So she didn't, but she did in fact kill this one here. Boom. So we got one critter down right now. Now what that does on the darkness track is it did have an AP, so the darkness track is now moving to 1. We actually have 1 point on the darkness track. And because she succeeded at that attack, her threat is up 1. Threat adds to the range. Now that guy, if he had lived, would have been activated, but he didn't live. So the bones, we crushed a little shambling skeleton dude with the power of our arcane lance. Now threat, though, threat has a number of things going on. If we ever end up at 10, we're going to draw a darkness card. There could be a massive penalty. I've found that it is not worth doing. So we need to keep our threat down. Yeah, and so that's why one of the reasons we want to make her symbol roll, so she can continue to reduce her threat. That's all she's going to do for this first action. Now remember, there's no turn order. We can bounce back and forth. We can do all kinds of crazy things. And our acolyte, he's just not in a place to do a whole lot right now. So I'm not sure. I think we're going to go with the warrior next. And unfortunately, the warrior is going to... We're going to have a problem with that trap with this, but we've got to get these guys killed, so let's do what we can do. So let's talk about our warrior friend, who is right in the front. I think what we want to do is we are going to... we need some rage, I think. Well, we could move and then not worry about the rage and just do... Yeah, I think what we're going to do... Just one target. So what I'm thinking is we're going to sprint. That's going to allow him to move her to move 3. So I'll give her a 4 movement. Now this is, I mean, well, I'll give her up to 5 actually. This is going to mean that she is doing a massive move. I can't remember what they call it. Not a hustle, but she's rushing in, like really going at it. I'll look it up and remind you what that is actually called, but she's doing the most movement she can do. And so the sprint card is an action, so that's going to go in our action slot, and it also does increase our darkness. It does increase, it's an action, and it does increase our track by 1 because it requires an AP. So we're first going to place this here to represent that the warrior is the soldier sprinting. Now we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to right here. We're not going to move the whole 5. It doesn't matter because the movement rate that the soldier's taking is you can go up to that many. And then we're going to do, this yoke is heavy. Attack bash with our shield. It's not as good as our longsword, but it'll still get the job done. Now we did a full rush, so the target number is actually reduced by 2. And we're going to get 2 additional attacks. This is a reaction, and it does not increase our AP. So from that first attack, you can see the darkness track up here. I do have to increase the AP 1 for the sprint. That did take it. But now this is going to go into the action slot 2 of the soldier. And we are then going to form a dice pool and do an attack on, I think I'm debating on the layer. That we destroy the layer quickly, we won't have things spawning and we can clear it quickly. I think the layers, they have, I think 3 or 5 points. I got to look it up. Anyway, I think we're going to do the attack on the layer. Yes, the layer has a 5 health, so I'm going to put that up on the top track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So 5 health, we're going to reduce that for every hit that's done. And now we're going to form the dice pool for this yoke is heavy. Now we do already know that we're going to get a plus 2d10 from the attack itself. And then we are going to get a 1d10 and 1 fate die for the basic stat of our soldier. And then we're going to get another d10 using our shield as a shield bash attack. So we're going to have 3d10 to get a, and remember it's minus 2 TN, so we're going to need a 1 or better, so everything, we're going to hit the layer for a point of damage. Unfortunately, it is literally just 1 point of damage, but that's okay, because if we can kill that layer, we are going to be in good shape. Now, unlike a lot of games, when you're rolling your attack dice and you get successes, it means you hit with the attack. Most attacks, when you hit, you do the damage for the attack. It doesn't mean that you do a damage for each die. That is called a hit on a damage on a success. This is a damage on the attack. So it says attack one target within range. If the target is a captain or a minion, it goes prone, but we're not worried about that. We're just doing this. Now, if we roll the soldier's symbol, then we are going to get to, with the shield, we're going to add 1 threat to the attack, which means that the the soldier is the tank and absorbs threat so that the creatures come and attack her. So let's see what we get here. Well, look, we got plenty of hits. We did not roll the symbol for the soldier, so we did, however, inflict a wound on the layer. So boom, 4 more to go. It's a start, but we know that our soldier's in a place where we are going to have to do some massive attacking. I think the next thing that the soldier is going to do, we're going to take the soldier again. Once again, keep in mind that you don't have to play in any particular order. I could have re-rolled a fate die for this, but with the helmet I forgot. Is it re-roll an enemy fate die. Never mind. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to build up a little rage. Each of the cards in here represents a rage. But we're going to add 1 to this here and basically just do that. That means that we now have additional rage. And as you can see, every card that says rage on it, so like this one doesn't, but this one does, counts as a rage. And I'll just read the rage to you so you understand it. The soldier uses rage to increase effectiveness of many of his hero cards. To add rage, the soldier may choose to move the top card of his hero deck to an available action space. The card should be kept face down and not revealed until it is discarded. The soldier may add rage this way at any time. Each face down card played in this way in the soldier's action space is considered 1 rage. Some of the soldier's hero cards have the rage keyword on it when they are played also count as 1 rage. So right now we have 2 rage in our pool there. And we also have, I'm going to back up so I can read this to you properly. We also have this blade dance. It's a counterattack. We can't do anything with it yet, but if the darkness triggers, we're going to get to do this. That's why I want to build up some rage. We also have this. This is a battle roar. It says battle each hero within range gains -1 target number 1 hitting. I'm not too concerned about that. I want to save the rage for this. So that is where we're going to leave our hero for this turn, okay? Now hopefully I'm not sure if we're going to trigger the darkness on that. Now we do increase the soldier's threat level, so I've still got the soldier there. So the threat is at level 1 for doing a point of damage to the layer. And we did increase, we already increased the AP for that, so the darkness track is up to 2. Now remember, when the darkness track hits 6, it automatically triggers the darkness. And I think we're going to go then to the Acolyte. Let's see what the Acolyte's going to do. Might not be very much this turn. So the Acolyte got some yucky cards. I really love the Prey card. It allows you to take the discard pile and get some faith cards out of it, but we don't have any. So the Acolyte has a base faith of 1. And so why am I talking about faith? Well, faith fuels the cards of the Acolyte, right? So with this card, this last rites, you can see if we don't move, we're going to get extra D10s. But I don't know if he has the range on this. What's the range? Oh, okay, so it's going to be 1. You're going to skip 1 space. But the attack target within range, this target also affects number of squares around it based on the faith, so you can see how it's in a clockwise order. So if I were to play this card, I could play this just as faith as well, because it is a faith card. I don't think it is. We don't. So see, he's really in a bad place. I think we might not do anything with the Acolyte this turn except for draw some new cards. We'll probably keep one of those last right cards, but until we get some faith built up, there's not going to be a whole lot of point in doing that. Now remember, we're going to get rid of these cards at the end of the round, so I may have been a little ahead of the thing on the soldier putting the rage down. I don't think it's going to matter because I don't know that we're going to do enough to affect the darkness this turn. I guess we'll just pop to the brigand right now, because the first thing that we're going to do is an action, one with the darkness, which places, and we're going to place that in this her first action spot. That is going to put her in the shadows, which makes her very hard to hit. You can see it says, there's also some really cool combos. We get to add 2 fate dice on if it says combo on the card with the shadows. That means we take this token and we're going to pull off the brigand's miniature and place that shadow token right there. That now represents the brigand. The brigand is hiding in shadows. And then I think that didn't do anything, except it did require an action, but it does not use up an AP, so we did not increase the darkness for that. But I do think then we're going to do Shadow Reach, and it says optional, appear next to a target within 3 squares. So we can definitely do that, I think. Well, I don't know. Another one, we have a Suicide Run and Dark Reaver. This one, this combo here, attack everything in 90-degree arc. It says combo, so we'd get the combo modus for the darkness. Except this is an action. So the only one we could play is Shadow Reach right now, within 3 spaces. Let's look at that. So we can see the board right here. The brigand is here. So, and that's, we could go 1, 2, 3. We couldn't appear there. We go 1, 2, 3. We could appear there and take that one out, I guess. It wouldn't hurt to do that. Or we could attack the layer again for another point. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. So we're going to play Shadow's Reach then. Now remember, the brigand has some items that may allow him to hurt or remain in shadows. So we're going to play this in front of her space. It's going to be, again, it says optional shadows, so we're going to get the bonus too. Oh, we're not going to get the bonus. There's no combo bonus on this. Appears next to the target within 3 squares, one attack on... Oh, it's 2 damage. We definitely want to hit the 2 damage, range 1. We can't attack diagonally, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to go 1, 2, and 3 right to here, which gives us an opening on the layer there for 2 more points of damage. So we're going to do that. Now this does increase the shadow track up to 3, and this is, we're playing this as a reaction because it can be played as either or. You see, this has optional shadows, so he doesn't have to be in shadows to play this card, but she is. So we're going to play that there. Now, this TN for movement, she actually didn't move. She used the power of it. So she could have moved 2, then triggered this for 3, if I recall correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So theoretically, did not move at all, and that's going to allow us to attack for a remember, it's only a 3 to attack the layer. Anyway, now we are going to use her dagger. That gives her a D10 and 2 fate dice. She gets a D10 and a fate die simply for being the brigand. And let's see if anything else helps. The robes give +1 attack fate die on the attack. So we got lots of fate dice going on. Leather armor does nothing. The rest of it does nothing. We're not using the shield, so the buckler. We're just using these now, and then we're going to attack with all these. So 2d10 only. That's kind of weird, but 2d10 and lots of fate dice. And with the dagger, we do not lose shadows if we roll his symbol. So her symbol rather. So let's hope we roll that. Okay, here we go. Boom. Well, we did definitely hit, but we did not roll the symbol. So unfortunately, I was really counting on that so that she didn't lose her shadows, but she is going to. That means that we're going to replace her back on the board. Boom. But so she's going right there. She may get attacked this turn. That would be bad. In addition to that, we're doing 2 more points. 1, 2 to the layer. And because we did 2 points, we're going to increase threat to 2. But this is going to get discarded. Yuck. That's too bad. And really, that's about all that the brigand is going to be able to do this turn. And we didn't do anything with our acolyte, but we really couldn't do much. Let's think about it again. I think we're pretty much done for this round. Yeah, the more I look at this, we could have moved with the acolyte, but There's not much point yet. And the last rights just isn't going to do any good right now. It's got a range of 4 and damage of 1. I mean, I could attack one more. I could even attack the lair, I guess, with 1 faith. That would give me an attack. So here, let's look at this. I think we're going to do that. So if you're not familiar with Myth, I can bet you're starting to tell that this is a bit of a thinky game. But we can go range 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We could go all the way to the lair. You can angle this card, and it's going to go 1. So we could definitely like target the lair and one of these two guys here at the top, because we only have 1 faith. Or the lair and the one behind it, because you can take it from any perspective. I think we're going to do that. And because he didn't move, that gives him plus 2d10 on the attack. It is an action, and it is going to increase the darkness meter up to 4. That means at the end of this turn we're going to trigger the darkness because there's 2 heroes within range of the trap. That's okay. So let's do this. We're going to play this. Booyah. And then we're going to start to gather our dice. Now we do know that we had 2d10 for this target number here. Yeah, you can't see it very well. Hold on. There you go. Now you can see it. We get that. We're going to use the prayer book as our attack. So that's going to give us plus 1d10. It also gives us a special. We can reduce the threat if we manage to roll one of his candles. And then we're going to get 1d10 and 1 fate dice for being who we are. And I believe that is going to be the entire pool on this attack. Now, it does increase. It is an action, so we can only do one of these, and it does increase the darkness track 1. Let's do that now. Now, unfortunately, I don't think there's this huge opportunity for us to kill this lair before it does at least 1 spawn. These are not the right dice for this. Here's the pool, and we're gonna. I might look and see if the warrior can squeak out 1 more damage. I guess with the blade dance. No, it's a reaction. I'm sorry, a counter strike. So we can do it in the darkness and destroy the lair, but the lair will probably have already spawned at that point. Well, it will have. So anyway, let's roll our dice to attack the lair and the one guy behind it again. Now we only have to make sure we hit. We got enough d10s. I think we'll be fine. Hopefully we roll the candle and do something. We did not, but we got a 10 and a 9, so we hit both of them with no problem. That means it's 2 points. So the Acolyte's going to have a threat of 2, but having only played 1 card, it'll go back down. You'll see how that works. And then that will take 1 more point. Actually, we already had that. Actually, no, we still need to do 1 more point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we need to do. No, we just did 4 points, right? I did 2 and then 1. Yeah, so we got to do 1 more point, and then it kills this one here. So we did kill that one, and we got the lair down to 1 point before it's destroyed. Too bad we couldn't do 1 more point of squeak out 1 more point of damage. Maybe the Acolyte can. I'm going to look. But that is pretty much going to end the turn of the Acolyte. Remember, the Acolyte did gain 2 threat, which means enemies. It affects how enemies target the characters. Before we wrap up this turn and end up putting 2 into the darkness cycle and triggering it because of the trap, I'm trying to see if there's anything else we can do that can do damage. No, they're actions, so we really can't do anything else this turn because you can only play 1 action during a turn. So that is going to wrap up our actual turn for the characters. Now, you think, if you haven't played this game before, you're probably thinking, well, why have the enemies attacked, Doug? Well, they only attack when the darkness triggers, when we get to 6, and then they activate, and all the ones within threat range activate, and then they have a targeting priority as well. You can see that the first one is proximity, so they go by who's closest, then faith, so that's one of the reasons I kept the Acolyte back, and then least vitality, the one that has least health. Okay, that's the basic premise of their, and then this is their threat range add-on. It's, yeah, anyway, and this shows what they spawn when they spawn. So we're not going to get to do that, but let's move on to the next part of the turn. Because there is no threat, we're going to go into the refresh phase, and we need to look at our trap because I need to see when that triggers exactly. It says activation each refresh phase, so it's going to be now. Let me look. Oh, it says trap results is the 5th step, so we're going to wait till the 5th step. That may we're going to trigger a darkness cycle, that is for sure. Also, we haven't dropped any treasure yet because we haven't killed more than 3 at one time, or a lair or a captain. I'll show you what happens when we do that. So it affects all heroes within 5 squares. Each affected hero raises the AP. So there's going to be 2 that are going to raise the AP. It's going to raise it just enough to trigger the darkness. So in our refresh phase, the first thing we do is we check the darkness meter. Players check for any active enemies. There aren't any. They're dead. On the realm tile for each active enemy monster type. I have to check on this in the second edition rules to see if the active enemies is different. So we definitely have enemies within threat range. I mean, we're right next to them. So what that means is the darkness cycle is going to increase at this point by one more for every enemy type that's within range. We only have one type. We have the shamblers right now. So then we're going to go to the darkness cycle. Now, if there is a darkness cycle, then we would activate it. But then we're going to activate allies. We don't have any. We're going to resolve quests. We don't have any. We're going to check statuses. Nobody has a status. Then we're going to check the trap. Okay, here's where the enemies are going to activate, because the trap is going to increase this by 2. So it's going to go bang and then back around to 1. And we're going to draw our first card and see what happens. Okay, Bones event. If a layer has not been damaged, then spawn 5 minions immediately. It has been damaged, so that's a good thing. Let's pull this back so you can see it all. Now, this threat penalty is the one I was telling you about. It says heroes on the board are limited to 3 action spaces for the rest of the act. That means the whole rest of this gameplay. So we got to avoid that threat penalty. And it usually is if they're at a 9, 8, 9, or 10, depending on, most of it's a 10, I think. But we're never going to get there. Then we activate. Okay, so we're going to activate the mini-boss, captain, the minions, and the boss. Well, the only thing we have are minions. So we're going to take a look at that. Now we're going to activate all of them. The shamblers have a movement of 2. Okay, and they are going to basically do a lot of attacking. Now, they are going to have to hit us, which is not going to be easy for them, which is a good thing. But we're going to do we're going to make sure they do all their movement first. This guy's not going to move. There's no reason. So let's talk about who they're going to target first. So first is proximity. So this one's closest to these 2 characters. Okay, the rogue and the soldier. Now, the soldier has more threat, and since it's right next to it, this one will attack the soldier first. So let's do that guy's attack and get him out of the way. So he's going to roll a d10. He's got, it says ancient weapon, 1 attack on 1 target, range 1, and that's what this 1 symbol means, the range right there. And then it says 1 damage per hit. He's only going to do 1 damage, but he needs a 7 or greater to hit our soldier. Our soldier does not have anything that's reducing the TN of the target, or changing the target number of the enemy. So we're going to roll 1d10 and 1 fate die, though the fate die is not, well, they do have a fate symbol, but we have no soulless out, so it's not going to matter. I'm going to roll it anyway. Okay, boom. A 1 and nothing, no symbol. So the enemy, the symbol that they're trying to roll is this one. Anyway, he missed. So he missed the soldier. Now we're going to move on to the next minions. Okay, so this one is closest in proximity to our rogue and right in between them. Actually closer to here, right? Because just a movement of 1 to get to there. And the one that has the most threat would be the next. Well, let's look at their targeting priority again, the shamblers. They have a targeting priority of proximity, then faith, then least vitality. So between the apprentice with a vitality of 6, yeah, so it's going to attack the apprentice. Now, same thing again, we are going to roll a d10, target number is 7, and we'll see if that one gets the attack in. A 10 actually did manage to hit our acolyte. So you're supposed to do attacks after all enemies have moved. So let me continue to move and get things straight. So this one will go 1, 2. It can't reach anybody. This one will go 1, 2, and can't reach anybody either. So the only attack that happened was on those 2 that occurred, and we did hit our apprentice for 1. We're going to go booyah and reduce the apprentice by 1 health or 1 vitality. Okay, mistake number 2. I'm going to correct it. It's not going to make any difference, but we should have done the card refresh phase. So I'm going to do that now. We're going to start with the brigand. The card refresh phase, we clear the roster. So the first thing we do is look at and go -2 threat, because for each empty action slot we reduce the character's threat by 1, so the threat goes back to 0 for the brigand. These 2 cards unfortunately get discarded, and we get to keep 1 and draw up to 4 more. So I think we'll keep Dark Reaver. And we're going to draw 3 more. Hopefully we get another In the Shadows type thing. We did not. We got Now You See Me, Dirty Tactics, and Bloodletting. We're not going to go into what those are. So and then we're going to go to the Apprentice. So the Apprentice goes down to 0 threat 2. So see, nothing changed the attacks, but I still want to make sure we're doing it right. I think the Apprentice is going to keep Withering Bite, because we might need a counter attack here. In fact, it says counter focus ice, attack one target within range. If hit, that target's prone. We can do that during this phase. So we're going to keep that one and draw 3 more, because I knew that there was going to be an attack. So we got Sphere of Deflection. It's an ongoing. That's a good one. We're going to put that out. We got Blood of Gaia. We can't put it out now. And the mountains crumble again. So we got these in her hand. That is her. Now the Acolyte, we get rid of the Dark Rites. Again, threat level goes down to nothing, basically. We discard that. We decide we're going to keep. I think we're going to keep the prayer card, so we can maybe get some prayers out of this discard pile now that we have. Well, it's not going to matter. Nothing in there is a prayer. We'll keep the last rites. Okay, and we're going to draw another prayer card, 2, and 3. Well, I guess the good news in discarding the prayer card is now that we could get it out and do a prayer. But we got a Smite and a Soothe Wounds. That's good because we have a damaged healer. And then the fighter, the soldier. Sorry for getting this out of order, but it's okay. It really did not affect anything in the game. So we are going to get rid of all of these cards for the soldier. Discard those. We're going to decide what we want to keep from the soldier's hand. I think we'll keep Blade Dance, because Roar kind of stinks. It's not that great. And we're going to get 1, 2, 3 more. Okay. Battle Rage, Your Mother is a Crawler. I like that one. And Riding the Edge. So we got some good cards there for the soldier. Okay, now let's go back and finish that. I'm sorry I got that out of phase. Okay, so we still have Winter's Blast, counterattack, focus, ice. Does damage 1 in a range of 2. I don't see why we wouldn't do that, because this is going to be really important as we wrap up this phase. The last thing that happens during the activation is the spawn. So when let me look and see when I can do this. If I can do it before the spawn. It's a heavy spawn, by the way. If I can do it before that, then the layer will be gone before it gets to spawn more beasties, and we will have cleared this dial very quickly. So I can't see why there's any reason we can't do that. So we're going to do it. Bam! And that is going to, however, increase our darkness track to 2, just because I can't remember, there's one symbol there, so our darkness track is back to 2 already. But we get to do 1 more damage. Uh-oh, let me check the range. Within 1 target of the range on this attack is going to be 3, I believe. I think she's got it. She should be fine. Her twig has a range of 3, so she can go 1, 2, 3. Yes, she can attack it. Okay, boom, we're doing that. That ends the layer. The layer has been destroyed. It will not spawn. That saves us a heck of a lot of trouble and time. Oops, sorry, I bumped that. And as a result of that, a treasure token drops. I'm going to put it right there so it can be picked up easily. All we have to do is get on that space and use non-combat action to pick it up. And that is now truly the end of the round. Now normally we would have a heavy spawn, and we would look on the minion card just to show you what that would be like. And it says heavy spawn, 1 Shambler melee, and 1 soulless. That soulless is bad news, so I'm glad we didn't do that. So basically we have completed our turn. I'm just making sure this gets the darkness card gets discarded. We no longer have a darkness cycle to contend with, and we are ended for the night. So one of the reasons I'm not doing a lot of my cool editing stuff that I normally do is I know that these sessions for 1 turn even are going to be lengthy, and doing all the extra editing takes up massive amounts of time. So I hope you don't mind that we're kind of playing this straight through this way. But that ends our session. So for this time, that was 1 full turn. I probably made a few bumps in the road because it's been a while since I've played this, and I'm trying to really absorb the 2nd edition rules. So if you do spot something, please, please, please let me know. I think we did okay. It may not have been perfect, like I got out of sequence or something a couple times, but we did fix it. And here we are. We are a full turn in with a full description and everything. It's going to be a pretty long video. Hope you enjoy it. And by all means, continue to make comments and feedback. I am debating on what's going to be next. I'm probably going to put Cthulhu Wars on the table after we do this session. It depends on what happens between now and Christmas, because I have two big ideas for Christmas. To do something while I'm off during that. I'm going to be off the entire time between Christmas and New Year's. I want to do something special for you guys. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for your subscriptions. Thanks for playing along with me. I love it. It's great. If you have any tactics, anything you think that I should do with these guys, please let me know. I'm going to send the brigand right after the trap, basically, so we can disarm it and not keep moving the darkness track up. Even though it's not going to matter much, because we're going to probably have the space cleared, the board cleared pretty quickly. Okay, take care.